get that result. For a recipe that works, go ahead and give it a try. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Hello, this is Tasty Eats by Tess, and today we're going to be making sourdough rye bread. So let's go ahead and get started with this. We're going to be starting off with 3 cups of warm water. We'll need our sourdough. This has been sitting out on the countertop overnight. And we just go ahead and we add that to our warm water here. And it should be floating. If it doesn't float, it's not active. Perfect. Let's try and get all of that out of there. That's 1 cup of active sourdough. So you'll see from this that it does float. And all we do now at this point is to add our flour. Let's go ahead and add this in now. Nice and gloopy. Okay, perfect. Now we'll put the lid on here. And we'll just give that a few pulses here. Okay. And we'll leave that run for a minute. Great. So we're just going to use our same bowl that we have here. And I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but already you can see bubbles forming in my dough. So I'm just going to pour this out into our bowl that we were using. It's going to be very gloopy and extremely wet. We still have to add our other flour here in 1 second. We'll just get all of this out first. Perfect. Okay. That's great. So we're going to add 1 cup of rye flour. This is dark rye flour. And 2 teaspoons of salt. Perfect, let's go ahead with this. Now at this point, I want to give it a vigorous mix. Beautifully goopy. All right. We'll go ahead and get this cover off with a plastic bag here. Keep it nice and warm. And we'll put the towel over top of that as well. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and get this out onto the bench and shape it. This is how it looks. See that? Nice and airy and bubbly. We'll need to add a lot of bench flour to this. So here we go. Just put a little on the top. Just fold that over a few times. And we'll get a knife for that. And I'm just going to be going with cutting that in about half. little more flour to this so it's not sticking to our hands. And there we go. Just cover that up now, and we'll let that rise. So I've decided to do a test here, so I've added extra flour to this one. This is the very wet dough that you saw before. And just add as much flour as you'd like in this. I added about an extra cup. So we're going to have a plumper, probably less holes in the bread than the original first one. Let's go ahead and get these floured up a bit, and we'll give them a slash. This will be the firmer one here. This is a much lighter one. Be harder to slash because it's much lighter, but it did work. All right, so we can only do one at a time here. I decided I wanted to try a little bit something different here, so I have just the one slash on this firmer dough. So I'm just going to be making some slices here. See what happens with it along the side. To see what happens. My cast iron pot, it's been in the oven, and this was in the oven at 500 degrees to get extremely hot. We just take the lid off of that, and we'll try and scoop up the best we can our first loaf here. And we'll stick it in our hot pot and put the lid back on, and we'll go back in at 500 degrees. All right, now since this has been in the oven now with the lid on in the cast iron pot, we can go ahead and remove the lid. This had kept the steam in, and now we remove that and let it cook the rest of the way. Just situate it in here a little nicer, and we'll let that cook. Let's just move this right on out now, and we're going to let that cool. How pretty is that? Wow. Now we'll just go with our second loaf here, and we'll see how this one goes. This is the one that's a lot lighter than the first one, and we'll go ahead with the lid on top of there. This is going to sweat it, and we'll go back to the oven with this. And now it's time to remove that lid. So we'll go ahead with that. It's been 20 minutes. Oh, that's gorgeous. All right, so we'll let that go another 25 minutes approximately until it's the desired color that you like. All right, so this is about as far as I'm gonna go with this. Here's how it looks. This is the fluffier, lighter one. Recipe that works, go ahead, give it a try. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe. You're getting a totally different bread. Less dense and more holes. The flavor is also extremely tasty. So one of the things you should always try, and it's not easy, is to put more water content to get that result.